today we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be talking about the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man Lotus. And read some of those reviews. Okay.
Not only is Gavin Connup racist, he's also a completely useless filmmaker. This next one I can't read because it's in Spanish. The second half of it is all in caps. He says, "Por tu horas monologue abdo," so a 2-hour monologue, I think he's saying.
Oh my god. I never liked Gavin J. Connup. I don't like him, man. I just don't like pretentious filmmakers who just thrive off of negativity. And I get, maybe I'm doing that here, thriving off of negativity. But bro, he never forget, all of his stuff got thrown away. Lotus got canceled because he pissed off a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Berkman Boom. Real ones know Berkman Boom.
But,
who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Hey, what's up, guys? You already know who we are. You already know we're the Invincibles. You already know we're Zan and Oli. But today we're going to be doing something a bit different. We're going to be talking about the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. We're going to be talking about Spider-Man Lotus.
Oh, I've been waiting to make this. Neither of us have seen it yet. I'm probably gonna watch it in shifts. I'm not gonna watch it all in one go because I enjoy life. So,
hey, well, if you, let's enjoy it a bit more, man. Read some of those reviews. Read like a quick review.
Okay, so I've gone on Letterboxd and I've gone through the reviews. I've clicked sort by popularity, so let the most liked reviews come up first. The top one is it gives the film half a star out of 5. Wait, this is the racist Spider-Man movie. 80% of this is just Spider-Man trauma dumping to some random kid with cancer.
Oh my god.
This next one I can't.
It's read it.
This next one I can't read because it's in Spanish. But
so
the second half of it is all in caps, and we'll have to get someone to translate for this for us. But he looks very, very not happy. It says flashbacks is one of the words. Monologabdo, probably monologue.
Monologuing, monologue.
Miserab KS. Why is he miserable?
Like it's a miserable.
Yeah. So
is this Miles Morales? Is Miles leaving a bad review in Spanish?
He says "Por tu horas monologue abdo," so a 2-hour monologue, I think he's saying.
Oh my god. No, I'm not watching. So I saw some of it. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing because I'm not supporting Gavin.
Yeah.
And we can talk more about that in detail. Today's episode is really more to talk about, the state of Spider-Man discourse. If you're on Twitter, social media, Instagram comments, being a Spider-Man fan, it's not as toxic as being a Star Wars fan, but it's pretty high up there in toxicity.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I would, if I had to compare Spider-Man fandom to anything, it'd probably be it's gonna be a crazy analogy, but Real Madrid, it's just toxic because the standard is Spider-Man 2 versus the standard Real Madrid winning the Champions League every year.
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's just a terrible. Maybe it's a bad analogy. I don't know, but there's a lot of multifaceted aspects to my life outside of just the nerd stuff that we all love. But that's neither here or there. Let's just.
I want to get through a couple. I want to read you a few more reviews before we get going, just so we've got some energy from
Okay.
So we can have a bit of fun first.
Okay.
Not only is Gavin Connup racist, he's also a completely useless filmmaker. Also, a distressing lack of lotus flowers in a movie named after them. We'll do 2 more.
Yeah. I'm going to try to pull up my tweets about him in the meanwhile.
This next review is just 2 words, one word, but hyphenated. Spider Clan.
Oh god.
This is the highest review we've seen so far. This next one, it's 1.5 stars.
Mhm.
Didn't even think this was that bad for the first 30 or so minutes, but this is literally just people who think they know way more about Spider-Man than other people and suck themselves off about it.
Dude,
uh,
it's bad.
Actually, I'll give one more. I'll do one more half a star review. So this next one's a bit long, so I'll just read the funniest lines out of it. Oh well, everything could be edited down to a little over an hour if there wasn't constantly a black and white montage, an unnecessary monologue, or a cancer kid. On top
Oh
of it,
god.
the guy who plays Peter Parker is such an awful actor. Literally, who chose him to lead a movie? Also,
Oh.
$100,000, and there was no space in the budget for a tripod. Do they stabilizer is in Premiere Pro for free?
$100,000. This guy got $100,000.
Hmm.
Um, and it was hate watching. It was banking off of MCU Spider-Man criticisms.
Yeah.
So, I guess like personally, I never liked Gavin J. Cunup. Um, because if you guys go through my Twitter, my social media, my handles, all you've seen it.
Mhm.
I've gotten into Twitter arguments with them, and I know that sounds very sad, and I need to touch some grass. Twitter arguments, I get it, whatever. My biggest irritations has really been about, quite honestly, how pretentious he is with the character of Spider-Man. Okay,
Mhm.
so what he would do on social media, there would be a fan who would enjoy an MCU Spider-Man clip, right? So you would see, and I'll try to like get clips of it and put it up on the screen if I can find them. But you know what I'm talking about. There'd be
Mhm.
somebody on Twitter be like, "Oh, this was so cool in Civil War, blah blah blah," and then Gavin would retweet it. You know what I'm saying? He probably paid for his followers and his retweets too. I mean, that's my hot take. I think a lot of these chronically online accounts, they got to be paying, man. It's because it's a
Oh
business.
yeah.
It's putting money in your pocket. There's no way you're getting 63,000 likes all the time. There's no way people really hate on MCU Spider-Man that much. It's just not a thing. Um, Especially when you look at the money that they make, is like Far From Home, $1 billion, but that's the worst Spider-Man movie ever, right? So I think the worst one is Spider-Man Lotus. You can't spell Lotus without L. So it is what it is. I don't like him. I don't like him, dude. Like, so there'd be somebody who's minding their business, just watching an MCU Spider-Man film, just having fun. The point of these films, the point of these characters is to just have fun, because at the end of the day, we can't walk up walls, we can't have superpowers, we can't save the world. Reading these comics and watching these stories are the closest that we can. So if people enjoy a certain iteration of that, let them be. And that even goes to, like I hate the Snyder fan, like
Mm.
the Snyder fan films, or the Snyder films. I hate Batman versus Superman. I hate Justice League. I think they suck, but I get why people like it. I'm not gonna, trash on them. I'll maybe talk shit about it with you because we're in that space, but I'm not trying to go to a Snyder fan page and just talk shit for no reason and just ruin their day
Mm.
for no reason. Like, let
Yeah.
them enjoy their movie. Let them enjoy their movie. Let them enjoy their characters, bro. Like Last Jedi. I think that movie, like, I have a love-hate relationship with that movie. At the end of the day, I will never get over the amount of missed opportunities that movie had. I'm sorry, there just was missed opportunities in that movie. The direction they went with Luke Skywalker, I'm sorry, I will to the end of time say that was the wrong decision. But you know what? A lot of people love those movies and a lot of people love the sequels. So you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna be like a douche. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, oh, you don't know Star Wars. Oh, you don't know Star Wars. Oh, you don't know this. Like, bro, like let them enjoy their thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the MCU Spider-Man, bro. Like, people will like it, read it, watch it, and then what Gavin would do, he would retweet it with some arbitrary comic panel written by Roger Stern on page 22 of issue 81 back in the 80s, and then be like, this is why you don't read comics. This is actually what the character of Peter Parker is. And all of the retweets that he selected every single time, all of the comic panels he selected every single time was Peter Parker at his worst. But the image that he was portraying because of that was a Peter Parker that was always incelish, always angry, always depressed, and always pushing people away. So when that's all you post of Peter Parker, you are arguing, and as he has with me many times, that that is inherently who Peter is. He
I think
is a self-hating character.
that's because the only part of Peter Parker he can actually relate to.
Thank you. And that is my other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I said, when your character, when your hero, like, I don't really get why Spider-Man fans want Peter Parker to suffer incessantly. And honestly, like, this is gonna sound crazy. Shout out to Marvel Comics for kind of doing that, because now people are really angry online. Now they're saying, oh, we hate this, but you guys wanted that from the movies. You guys wanted Tom Holland to have herpes, hemorrhoids, schizophrenia, like homeless out of his house. Aunt May is a stripper. You wanted him to have the worst life possible. That was the only way for him to be as good as Toby. Like, you know what I'm saying? That is the only thing that you guys would have been satisfied with. So now that Marvel Comics is doing that, I feel like it's, so in a way, and I'm not apologizing for it, but in a way, I feel like it's a commentary to you guys online who do nothing but complain about Peter Parker. Oh, he's happy. Peter Parker's life is stable. Now they're doing everything they possibly can to make sure that is not happening, to completely destroy the character. But it's because of y'all. I'm blaming all the Twitter accounts that are like, oh, Peter Parker isn't happy. It's because of y'all, man. It's because of y'all. Y'all wanted it. And now everybody universally agrees that the MCU Spider-Man is like better than the comics version right now. Everybody universally agrees with that. Like, at this point in their careers, you would have never seen that. So that's the fans' fault. I will 100% say that. That's the fans' fault. But I mean, Joe Quesada like made awful editorial decisions as well. One More Day later, there's a lot we don't like about the character, but that's beside the point. The point is, a lot of what Gavin was doing was invalidating fans who actually liked a Peter Parker that wasn't a copy of what Andrew and Toby did. And I want everybody to understand, if you read, like with me, when I saw the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, my version of Peter Parker was a quiet, nerdy guy who didn't talk that much, because his Spider-Man did not talk that much. So he was kind of like this silent, badass hero. So when I would watch the cartoons or play the games or read the comics, I was actually a little turned off, because I'm like, bro, Spider-Man doesn't shut up.
Yeah.
He's kind of corny. He doesn't shut up. Toby's this silent and intense. I like that. So I like the movie more than the comic. You know what I'm saying?
And
so
then when he's like with other heroes, like making a fool of himself and stuff like that, embarrassing himself.
Yeah. To me, I'm like, bro, you're Spider-Man. Toby wouldn't do that. So in that case, I like the movies more than the comics, correct? How is that any different than an MCU fan liking the movies from the comics? It's just you have a different taste.
Yeah.
How is that any different? You know what I mean? Like, now, I'm going to say this and I'm going to shut up. I do think, the MCU Spider-Man has problems.
Yeah.
The first time I saw that Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, I didn't like I still don't like the emphasis of Stark Tech. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like being bit by a spider should be the one and only transformative aspect of your life. That's my interpretation of it. I don't understand why, there was so much of an emphasis from a movie and from a tonal standpoint, like a literary device standpoint, of Stark Tech, of Stark suits, of Tony Stark. I don't get it. It was likely Sony wanting the MCU Spider-Man to be so entrenched in the Disney brand, to when, if they did separate, that it would make it very hard for all parties involved, thus making it in their best interest to be together. Maybe that's probably what happened. I don't know. Maybe that's another reason why Uncle Ben isn't a major aspect of this Peter Parker. I don't know. Maybe Sony wanted to change stuff up to have a completely different version of the character, and obviously financially it worked out. But from a diehard purist Spider-Man fan perspective, I never did like the emphasis of the Avengers. I never did like Mr. Stark. I never did like the kidification of Peter Parker, especially reading the Ultimate Comics. A huge aspect of what I loved about Ultimate Comics, Brian Michael Bendis' Peter Parker, was that he was a 15, 16-year-old kid with a lot of anger at the world, not because he was an incel, but he, as a kid, he can recognize injustice and he can recognize what is right and what is wrong. What drives him insane is that the adults in his world can't.
Yeah.
So that is what drives him absolutely insane. That a kid has to do what y'all can't do, and yet you have the temerity to go into the media and say Spider-Man is like sucks and everything, but yet I'm a fourth of your age and I'm doing more for my neighborhood than you ever did.
Hmm.
I That was the characterization that I wanted to see in the MCU. I was very excited to see a kind of an angry Peter Parker who's reeling from the loss of Uncle Ben, and it's, you know, as he becomes a better hero, it gets more therapy for him, right? Like he starts out for Uncle Ben, ends up trying to chase him, but realizes he does Spider-Man more for helping other people, for loving people, as the Insomniac version is at this point of his career, right?
Yeah.
So I think that taking that away and just doing something a bit different with a Tom Holland character, making him, oh, like, I want to be an Avenger. I get it makes sense in that world. If you're a normal person and the Avengers are your hero and you ended up outshining the Avengers, like in No Way Home, like, okay, it's a great character progression. But there's something that I wanted to see in Tom Holland Spider-Man of being a 15-year-old going up against people like in Daredevil, like the mob, the mafia. You know,
Yeah.
your guidance counselor is in bed with Wilson Fisk. You know, a quick mental health check is really a drop of Wilson knows your identity. Watch out, kid. To see a kid in those intense situations and getting out of it is what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see him trying to prove himself to Tony. I didn't want to see him try to get with Zendaya and then end up getting with Zendaya and then wasting Mysterio. And I'm not hating on the MCU Spider-Man. I love Homecoming. I think it's a great movie. I think Far From Home is a very enjoyable movie. I think No Way Home is an absolute great Spider-Man cinematic experience.
Yes.
But I think this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll hand it off to you, is it's about tone. I think what made the JGK Spider-Man Lotus such a huge thing to where they got $100,000 is because it wasn't so much of fans wanted to see Tom Holland Spider-Man go through specific character arcs like the comics. It's the tone, right?
Hmm.
The John Hughes comedic slapstick Seth Rogen comedy vibe. It's just incongruent with who Peter Parker and the Spider-Man brand is. Peter
Yeah.
Parker is funny because it's born out of tragedy and born out of coping. It's, like, and then he ends up becoming a comedian later on, but initially at the start of his career, he's a kid trying to heal. That's the point. That's the endearing part of Peter Parker. That's why I love the come on Spider-Man scene in Homecoming. You know,
Hmm.
unfortunately, we
Oh
didn't
yeah.
get any of that Far From Home. So that I think people wanted to see a Spider-Man movie that was shot more seriously, had more of a deeper thematic tone that wasn't so comedic in implementation. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what the fans wanted from the Tom Holland films. And then also, with all due respect to John Watts, I don't like his Spider-Man action scenes. I don't like them. They're not visually entertaining. They're not visually engaging. They're not visually, like they don't get your heart pumping. Um, you watch the Toby train sequence, that whole 12-minute fight scene where he's, dodging in between train cars, dodging in between crevices and buildings, jumping on Doc Ock,
Hmm.
punching him. We haven't seen anything like that at all in the MCU Spider-Man. And when I first, when I saw Spider-Man Homecoming and I saw the trailer for the Web Wings, I thought we would get some aerial cinematic, following your point of view, following the trail, the action aerial web sequence, fight alley chase sequences between Spider-Man and Vulture. So maybe Peter's jumping off of a building, webbing up a building, flying against Vulture, and the camera's following them through the alleyways up and down, kind of like Harry and Peter from Spider-Man 3.
Oh, that would have been good.
Right. Like just following the action, Vulture versus Peter in the air, an aerial cinematic type of dog fight in the air, I thought that's what we're going for. And they
Hmm.
ended up only using the web wings 3 times in the entirety of the 6 Tom Holland movies.
Hmm.
So that's my kind of biggest gripe with the MCU Spider-Man. I actually love Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I think he can do a lot more with what he's been given. But I do put him in Henry Cavill territory. I outside of No Way Home and parts of Homecoming, there hasn't been enough of Tom Holland to where I could put him on Toby's level. But I
Okay.
don't have the toxic and fanboy love of Toby where I completely invalidate Tom. It's just I don't like comedy that much, and I'm not a very comedic person. So I prefer more serious Spider-Man stories in terms of implementation and tone. And I think a lot of Spider-Man fans do. And that's why they got behind Gavin and putting so much money into Spider-Man Lotus. But as you saw, it was anytime a project is built out of spite just to say something else sucks, it doesn't have a soul of its own. And that's all what the reviews are saying. Not to mention, Gavin is racist and he's pretentious and he would, like I said, literally invalidate fans for liking the MCU Spider-Man by saying, well, this comic in 1981 that shows Peter in his worst invalidates what you're saying, and you don't read comics and you're not a Spider-Man fan. You can't do that to people, bro. You
Yeah.
cannot do that to people. I have read so much Spider-Man. Look at my wall. Look at my wall. You know what I'm saying? I have so much Spider-Man. Yeah, the MCU Spider-Man does fall quite a bit from the mark. Yeah, sure, to what I know. But you know what, man? He's gonna grow into that. Spider-Man 4 is gonna be a banger. If
Oh,
Spider-Man
it
4
will.
sucks, if Spider-Man 4 sucks, hey man, maybe we need to have a conversation with Spider-Man haters. Maybe. But until then, man, like I do think it's a bit of milking it. You know, if you have the first three Spider-Man films of just being a massive origin story of Peter kind of being Mr. Stark, versus having Spider-Man 1 to 6 all be engaging, encapsulating movies that isn't just an origin story.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that's a bit of a wasted opportunity. Maybe having Craven and No Way Home would have been cool. Maybe a more intense Mysterio that is, you know, taking over people's identities. That would be cool, like a Secret Invasion route. The aerial action sequences in Homecoming. I do think there's a ton of missed opportunities in the MCU, but I'm also not going to be as arrogant as to think I can do better than John Watts because I can't.
Mhm.
I've only been to school for writing. I haven't actually done anything. Gavin is proof that he can do something better than professionals who have done it. And instead of getting, you know, some advice from him, he talked shit about him.
Yeah.
Gavin talked shit about John Watts. So that's my whole monologue on Spider-Man. I don't know if I'm making any sense, guys.
No, you made
But
perfect sense.
I don't know. I can't support a project that is just built off of trying to trash other people's verifiable status as Spider-Man fans. That's ridiculous to me. And anytime Peter Parker is described as a self-hating nihilistic asshole who has suicide and mental health problems, and that's who he is as a person inherently, you don't understand the character.
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
goes through that at times. What the point of Peter Parker is to
That's just
get out
life,
of
isn't
that.
it? Like,
Yeah,
mm,
that's not who he is all the time. And throwing it back to you, man. If that's who you relate with, and if that's who you think the person of, you know, the characterization of Peter Parker is, and that's what you see yourself in, you need help. You
well,
need help.
there may be one thing that Spider-Man Lotus is good for, according to this one review.
What?
Drinking game. Take a shot every time someone cries over Gwen or there's a Gwen's dead montage. We
And
found one
if
positive with it.
I mean, it's a cool premise. It is a cool
Mm.
premise on theory to combine the death of Gwen Stacy with Spider-Man Blue, with the kid who collects Spider-Man. On theory, those three stories are, yes, some of the hardest hitting emotional beats in Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not so much of what would be the coolest concept. It pretty much is, how do you implement and complete the project? How do you actually tell a compelling story? Every story is compelling to the person writing it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like every,
Exactly.
you know, but to actually put it in the real world, we don't know. Like, for example, I want to make a film one day, man. I don't know it'll be the greatest film. I would imagine it has a lot of work, but I'm not going to be like, you know what, who I can make better films than Christopher Nolan, because I like his films, or Guillermo del Toro, or, you know, John Watts or Sam Raimi. I'm not going to be disrespectful, bro. These are masters of the craft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gavin, stop. Stop being pretentious with Spider-Man. Like, he's
You
not.
know,
If you think that's what Spider-Man is and that's what you think, get some therapy and you will see yourself vision, the self image of yourself will change to something more positive, bro. But don't go.
hopefully, hopefully, you know, he does do that. And he does sort of see where he's, well, obviously his views on, you know, his racist views needs to change, but hopefully he does improve himself as well, you know, in terms of being a pretentious knobhead. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. And his apology was awful. Like, he was like, I take full accountability and I hope some of y'all can forgive me, but I'm moving on. Like, sure, like listen, man, like there's a part of me that is like he was literally like 17 or whatever when it happened.
Mm,
So yeah, like I do kind of feel bad from that. But again, like I was 16 too, I was 15 too. I may have said stuff I wasn't proud of, but I was never maliciously attacking people online for their personal opinions and stuff. And he would go out of his way to do that.
yeah.
You know, he would go out of his way to do that. And all the reviews are saying it is a very pretentious film that is just self-hating and just has so much negativity. On Twitter, I remember he said, "I'm not a negative person. This is going to be such a positive film." And
Nope.
yeah.
I think we should give a, you know, with Slate and Gavin, deservedly, rightly so. We should give props to like the people who, when all the scandal, whatever you want to call it, came out, the people who left the project. So people like Eunice,
Hmm.
uh, he's got a big following online. He just left straight away. So you know, good on him. And then I think the girl who plays Gwen, I think she just
Mm.
cut ties as well. So
Mm.
shout out to them. Apologies if there's anyone else, but they're the two big ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Harry Osborn actor too,
Oh,
but
did he leave too?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I talk a lot, guys. Like, I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a diehard character of mine. Um, I, Miles is my favorite Spider-Man right now, but I mean, I always have love for the OG. But Ollie, let me just ask you, man. Like, I've just
Mm.
said a lot about Gavin and Spider-Man, and I said, how I felt like a lot of the fan support for Spider-Man Lotus was born out of criticisms of the MCU version and stuff fans want to see, and they thought they would get that in Lotus, but they clearly didn't. But like, what are your overall thoughts of the Spider-Man character and how he's used in general, and just the direction that they're taking Peter Parker in
Mm.
all facets of media, and just like, what do you want to see? Where do you see Spider-Man going, like story-wise in the future?
So, in terms of the films, I am probably the most excited I've been since, you know, like apart from No Way Home, because that was something else. Probably most excited I've been about Spider-Man in years because um there's opportunity now for Tom Holland is established as, in my opinion, he's like the definitive on-screen Spider-Man for me. After No Way Home, that just his performance in that was amazing, and I think now he is, for the first time in the MCU after No Way Home, he is on his own. He's literally has nobody. So now there is the opportunity for proper street level stories on film with, in my opinion, the best version of Spider-Man we've seen. So that's really exciting. And maybe because Toby and Andrew, there's rumors that Toby and Andrew being in No Way Home, it gave both of them like a bit of a little something that like to make
Mhm,
them want to play the character again.
mhm,
So there's more of a chance than we've ever had before of getting just one more Toby film,
mhm,
which it's not likely, but there is a chance, which
mhm,
that's exciting. And then um obviously we've talked about the Spider-Man game a lot in that aspect of that era, that part of Spider-Man. I'm really excited for the future of that. But
mhm,
looking at Spider-Man from like when we were kids, I got obsessed with Spider-Man through Toby films. Um, and my nephew is really into comics at the moment. He's really into all comic superheroes, stuff like that, Star
mhm,
Wars and everything. And he is becoming like obsessed with Spider-Man. It's his absolute like favorite superhero. And but he hasn't the only films he's seen is Spider-Verse, so he hasn't seen any of the live action ones, I think, all the way through.
mhm,
Maybe bits of them. I think he's tried to watch them and he's ended up falling asleep because they were too long. But
mhm,
but so Spider-Verse and like Spidey and His Amazing Friends on Disney Plus, which that is that part of Spider-Man that just connecting with kids. I think is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like that's what that's what superheroes are meant to do. They're meant to make you feel like a kid again. They're meant to they're meant to connect to kids and make kids feel, happy and optimistic and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And currently Spider-Man's doing that. There's lots of different, so much Spider-Man media out there, but it's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And and just think we've got so many superheroes now, so many superhero films, and Spider-Man's
Mm-hmm.
still the top. He's
Still
still
the
the
king.
best. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because of all the different types of media, and there's so much. Like there's even though the comics aren't great, if that's what you like, it's there. And if you like what the game's offering, you've got that to go to as well. So in a way, I think it's in a good place, like the Spider-Man media as a whole. But there's still room to tell better Spider-Man stories, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's in a really good place. I think it's in a better place than it has been in years
Hmm.
because there's so much of it now, and depending on your taste, you can go to one or the other. Um, but there is still room to improve, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know I've gone
And
on a bit of a tangent there.
no, no, I agree. And I think what that's a good point. Like, for me, what's kind of scratching my back right now in terms of Spider-Man content is the Spider-Verse films and the video games.
Mhm.
So like I will play Miles Morales for hours just web swinging and doing tricks through the air.
Yes.
And I won't even fight crime. Like I
Mhm.
just want to be Spider-Man. It's literally Tony Hawk Pro
Oh,
Skater reinvented. It's
have you
literally that.
have you ever done the glitch where you get these where you're on that one mission on top of the roof and you've got to like hit some power thing, but if you with his venom power you can jump up in the air and go like right to the top and see the entire map.
I haven't done it myself. I saw it on
Uh,
YouTube.
I spent about
Yeah.
half an hour trying to do that the other day. It's so fun.
Okay, it works.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, then I have to do it. Okay,
Mhm.
I have to do it. But yeah, I'll play that all the time. So like the video games I really love because the Insomniac video games, I had some minor gripes in Spider-Man 1. Mainly I felt like Aunt May wasn't in the story intrinsically enough. Like she had a lot of appearances, but in terms of like the actual integration of her impact on the story outside of her death and it affecting Peter and helping him out with like a feast when he was homeless. They gave her a strong characterization, strong personality, good writing, but she just wasn't intrinsic to the plot enough for me to be crying my eyes out when she died.
Mhm.
Like as a Spider-Man fan reading so much, I was like the moment she started coughing, I'm like, okay, this is his Uncle Ben 2.0. She's going to die because that's the sacrifice, and that's what happened. That's not me just being precognitive. It's just you read Spider-Man media for so long, you can kind of see the beats.
Yeah.
And so I really liked what they did with Aunt May, but she just wasn't in the story enough for me to feel that like gut punch. And then Peter, there wasn't enough of the man outside of the mask because the man outside of
Yeah.
the mask was just a mess all the time. And I get that that is who Peter Parker is, but with Toby, there was like an endearing aspect, right? Like he's trying to get his books, but people are just walking into him, like the book bag's hitting him. He got $20, he doesn't know what to do with it. Mr. Ditkovich takes it away. Happy birthday.
Mm.
Versus Tom Holland, he just walks into his apartment and he puts up the Lego figure and the cup of tea from MJ, and there's like that sadness, like that youthful wonder that Tom Holland's Peter Parker has. It's like wounded, and you really feel that. I didn't really feel anything with Andrew Spider-Man, with all due respect, but like that's really kind of
Ah,
like no. I mean, he has cool action sequences. That's it. But I
I
think
think
the
he's the
best.
best actor to play Spider-Man, in my opinion.
I think sure, but I think the best performance is Toby still.
Okay.
I think the best performance is still Toby. Spider-Man, I would argue. Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3 had a ton of the best Toby acting sequences. In Spider-Man
Oh
2,
yeah.
he was kind of more of a stable, mellow, sad character. that had moments of triumph. But Spider-Man 1, he was emotional, and Spider-Man 3, he was a menace. So
Yeah.
like I loved it.
What I like about Spider-Man 2 is that you don't actually see him as Spider-Man for most of the film. You just see him as Peter Parker for most of it.
Yeah, and it
Which
works because it's
it
Toby.
works magnificently. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you feel superhero movies back then used to be serious, and they were shot in the real world. Versus superhero
Mm.
movies now are gray. You can tell they're CGI and they're comedic. Like
Yeah.
if I could make a superhero movie, bro, I would shoot it like it was in the 2000s, like the
Mm.
Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man 2. That's
Oh
how I would shoot
yes.
it. Let's bring that back, please, studios. Bring that back. And like for superhero movies, bro, we need like enough of superhero save the world stories. Let's get different stories. Like, what if there's a superhero natural disaster movie? Like Aquaman movie
Mm.
would be perfect for a Hurricane Katrina. Like I have the premise right here. Super easy, not super difficult to make. It would make a ton of money at the box office, and it makes you think. Okay, a small town in Louisiana gets hit by a hurricane, and they accidentally open like a crevice and deep in the earth underneath the town, where a bunch of monsters come out and are piranhas and are eating people in the town. So Aquaman has to go and stop this natural disaster. So tsunamis are coming in, and he's trying to keep people safe while also keeping guard on them, because if they're in the water, then the piranha things might eat them. And it's
Mm.
just not simple, or it's simple, not crazy. There's not crazy plot twists. You can save that for the second movie, but you get enough so people are engaged. And Aquaman,
Yeah.
like that's how I would do the Aquaman movie, dude. Combine a natural disaster with like monsters and something like that, and put
Yeah.
Arthur Curry in a situation he's never been in. You can make Aquaman cool. You can make superheroes cool. Like what I
Mhm.
love about Daredevil is he's taking on the mob.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, a black suit Spider-Man movie where he is taking on the mafia, but shot in the way of the Jason Bourne movies and with the same treatment of the Jason Bourne movies, bro, I'm telling you right now, that would be the way to go. That would be the
Mm.
way to do it. An Ant-Man movie, but with the vibe and with the story beats of an Uncharted type of movie or
Okay.
Uncharted game. So
Yeah.
like, like I said last episode, like, the evil Ant-Man, like I forget his name, not Scott, not Hank, Eric O'Grady.
Mm.
Um, he's going around stealing artifacts from like museums all over the world, and he accidentally steals an Infinity Stone or something. Well, you can't do that in the MCU. And Black Cat. Oh, or that's another thing. A Black Cat movie, a heist movie, and the comics, the Jed McKay run, she stole the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, that's cool.
Black Cat stole the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, so there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. You don't need to just have superhero, supervillain save the world. Oh, here's another one. What if a superhero and a supervillain actually fall in love?
Yeah. Okay.
That would be not, oh, the girl I love happens to be a supervillain. No, like they're fighting. They've been fighting for years. They're arch nemesis, but nothing personal yet where people are dying. It's just they're fighting and they don't get along. So you can still see that chemistry because they haven't done anything super personal with them yet. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
with each other yet. And then maybe the superhero or whatever, he's down on his lowest, he's down on his luck, and the supervillain is like, shit, man, like, do you need help? Like, there's a reason I became a supervillain. Like, it's not because I'm a douchebag. Like, I have to do this. And so then the hero starts to think, oh, maybe preconceived notions of superhero and supervillain. What if that's a business? Like, society
Mm.
is forcing people to be in this cat and mouse game against each other, thus creating the need for superheroes. But you can get rid of that if you just have an equitable society. And so a love story turns into a deeper commentary on superheroes, and do you need superheroes versus do you just give powers to good people and to everybody, and that way they can make their own destiny, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you can do, and you could do that in a Clark Kent, a Superman movie. Boom, have people from Kandor on Earth, and there's multiple Kryptonians. Clark isn't the only one now, and make that the status quo on Earth. Now you're forced to make Clark Kent a different version of Superman than anything we've ever seen in the past, and different than any of his other relatives on Earth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do. I don't know how I just got on this tangent right now, but there is a lot you can do. Like a final thing for a Spider-Man movie or Spider-Man comic book run, make it completely original. I'm still saying maybe Peter Parker is a teacher, like, Teacher Without Borders, so he's like teaching like science and like Pakistan or some shit like that, or teaching science at like Japan or something like that. And now Spider-Man's international. So you have Miles, you can be in New York, you can do your own thing. You have Peter just traveling the world as a teacher, but also being Spider-Man, and you're putting Peter Parker in different situations. You get what I'm
Mm,
saying? So it's very episodic, very invincible, like from the Robert
yeah,
Kirkman comic run. So there's a lot of stuff you can do, man. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, but and I think like with my superhero media kind of gripe in general, it feels very, very much formulaic,
definitely.
very much formulaic. That's why I loved Across the Spider-Verse, because they challenge the notion of, do you need to have trauma and suffering for me to be a hero? Like, it is possible for me to have a great life and also be compassionate as well. Like, I
Mm.
don't need to suffer all the time. Um, sorry, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
So
that is something that I see in these fan films, right? It's just rehashing, thinking they can do what studio budgets do better than them on less money. Like, if you have
mm,
a person, like, bro, if I had $1,000 to make a fan film about superheroes, I would just get a fantastic actor, multiple actors, and do a story about horror mind control. And you don't need crazy CGI. You just need actors who say the same line in a horrifying manner.
yeah,
So you can play around with the budget. Like, there's superhero stuff is still untapped, but it is
oh,
filled with
definitely.
people who don't have that imagination, and it's so annoying.
Two things I would change in sort of the realm of superhero media, movies, whatever. Make Miles' name Ultimate Spider-Man and refer to Peter Parker as the Amazing Spider-Man. That's what
I
they
agree.
need to do because Miles, he's not just Miles anymore. He is Spider-Man.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in many ways, pretty much every version of Miles we've seen is more of a Spider-Man than a lot of the Peter Parkers we've seen.
Yes, yes,
Um,
100%.
and what another thing, this is more of a bigger thing to do with superhero movies in general. We need more animated superhero films at the box office
Yes, yes.
because we've seen the success of Spider-Verse. I saw Ninja Turtles last night.
Is it good?
Oh, it's fucking great. It's so
Okay,
so good. Makes me feel like a
okay.
kid again. I'll say a few words about that before I carry on because before like I need to get my thoughts on this out there.
As a Ninja Turtles fan, is this a must see?
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
It just
okay,
makes you feel like a kid. It's got everything you love about Ninja Turtles. Ice Cube is voicing Superfly, and it's
okay.
great. Jackie Chan voices Splinter. Um, so that's great. And something I've seen a lot of people, well, if quite a few people complain about is like the dialogue saying that it's cringy and stuff like that. But it's because the turtles they grow up in the sewer and they're on like social media and stuff like that. They have phones, so these
Okay.
people these turtles who've grown up underground their whole lives, they've learned how people speak through social media. Of course, they're gonna speak a
Oh,
bit cringy and use words like Riz and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
oh, okay. I love that though. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
I love
it's
that.
great. It feels it fits. They speak exactly how teenagers who are online in 2023 speak. So
Okay.
it's very accurate in that respect. But also the animation style is incredible. It looks like someone's drawing it. It looks like actual drawings brought to life.
It
Um,
looks like a New York City paintscape.
yeah, exactly.
It looks, yeah.
It is a bit unusual to get used to. It takes you probably about 10, 15 minutes, well, maybe about 5, 10 minutes to get used to in the beginning of the film, but
Okay.
it fits it so well. And it's yeah, also the songs they're using it are really good. Um, and yeah, it was just a great story, and
What about the action?
oh, the action was great. The action was
Okay.
really, really good.
Okay.
There's one montage scene where when the turtles are after Superfly, when they're trying to get to Superfly, um, and I won't give too much away about it, but basically they're going after four different people at four different times, and they sort of combine those missions into one montage, and it
Oh, that's
it, it
so cool.
works really well. Um, and what's what's her name? Ayo Adibri from The Bear.
Hmm.
She voices like the Ninja Turtles human mate, April O'Neil.
Yeah,
Um,
and she was great.
yeah, she's great. She's really really good. I can't remember the names of the guys who voiced the turtles, but the turtles were phenomenal. Um,
So are we quick question. Could we see a resurgence in the Ninja Turtles brand going forward?
oh, definitely,
Because
definitely.
I don't know if you saw, but THQ Games and Nickelodeon announced that they are making The Last Ronin a video game.
Yes, I saw that. I
And
know
if
you're excited.
if anybody knows me, like I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin because it like if you read I highly recommend everybody read the IDW run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It is so deep, it is so spiritual, surprisingly. There is a lot of deep elements of spiritualism and peace, and very similar to like Catholicism and spirituality and Matt Murdock. Like that is the vibe
Mm,
that you get.
yeah.
It's really, really good. Um, but no, I mean the IDW Ninja Turtles run, read it. But the Last Ronin, if you guys don't know what the Last Ronin is, but pretty much three of the Ninja Turtles, and you guys know who the Ninja Turtle who survives is. But in case you don't know, I will not tell you. Just don't search up who the Last Ronin is. But three of the Ninja Turtles are not just dead; they're murdered by the Foot Clan in very brutal ways. Like the comic book is rated M or rated R. Um, they do swear, they do drop the F bomb. You will hear one of the like it's crazy to see the turtles go like fuck, like like it's no, like I'm serious, but like it is a dark, intense, violent story, but it's not edgy without heart.
Yeah.
So the Last Ronin has a part one that deals with the last legacy of Splinter, and then the Last Ronin part two, which is coming out right now, is without spoilers the new legacy, the new generation of heroes in a half shell. And to see the four new turtles and seeing how they view the legendary Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Hmm.
it's very akin to Miles seeing Peter. It's like
Okay.
these four new turtles are like, how are we supposed to match Leonardo and Raphael? Like, bro, like how are we supposed to meet the Last Ronin? Like, and the identity of the Last Ronin, I love it. It is one of the greatest character decisions anybody has ever made with any character ever. To take that one of the Ninja Turtles, who I'm not going to reveal, and make him the Last Ronin, and to give him the character arc that they gave in Last Ronin 1 to 5. Oh my god, it is the greatest story of loss and war taking over. Unfortunately, it is a dark story. It is not a happy ending. That's what I appreciate about the Last Ronin. It is not a happy ending, but
Hmm.
it is a deep, profound thinking ending.
Yeah.
And they're making a game about it. But yeah, pretty much it's one of the Ninja Turtles. He assassinates people. So you're not just using like in the cartoons using the sword to knock weapons out. Like you're decapitating people. You
Yeah.
are blow darting people. You are throwing bombs at people. It is a very dark, violent world in the Last Ronin. Um, so I really hope Nickelodeon dedicates themselves all the way. You can make an intense story and not make it rated M, but I do think the Last Ronin, anything other than a rated M rating, you are seriously jeopardizing the seriousness and the severity of the story.
Hmm.
Like how Venom Let There Be Carnage seriously, you know, minusculed
Oh
the
god.
shit out of Carnage. So, but yeah, no, the Ninja Turtles brand, bro, like,
It's coming back. Like it's
yeah, yeah.
what I think has sort of hindered it in recent years. The two films that we got, like the live action ones in the past
Mm-hmm.
10 years, was it 2014 and 2016, was it?
Yeah. And they
Um
treated the actors horribly. They
yeah.
treated the actors really bad.
So they felt dull. They didn't feel exciting. What's good about this one is it looks like it's very marketable to kids, which so it's gonna sell. I went into Warrington today, the little town near where I live. Went to do some shopping, and there was a toy store. The front of it was covered in Ninja Turtles toys.
Mm.
So this film is gonna sell a shit ton of toys, which is only good for the Ninja Turtles brand. So it's gonna this generation of kids are growing up with a new fresh. It feels fresh as
Yeah.
well. It feels brand new. They're growing up with a new version of the Ninja Turtles, and that's great. And what's it called? The original show, animated show from
Mhm.
like was it 80s or 90s? I think it's on Paramount Plus now as well. So
What about the 2000 ones, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like,
and
you know that one?
the one where they go into the future as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I know the original
Oh.
one, like the old school one, is on Paramount Plus. I will find out about the others. But
Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle?
oh
Who's your favorite Ninja Turtle? And
yeah,
why?
I'll give you my favorite overall, and then I'll give my favorite from the new film.
Okay.
Favorite overall is probably Michelangelo.
Okay.
Just 'cause he's funny but he's also got a lot of heart, and I think he cares about his brothers. Like he cares the most about the group. Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yes.
Um, but when I was a kid, I loved when we were like in the yard at school, messing about and stuff.
Mhm.
I always would pretend to be Raphael,
Okay,
'cause he's
yeah.
just a badass. But I think Michelangelo's my favorite. But my favorite from the new movie, which I didn't really expect, is Leonardo.
Really? Leo, I feel like
Yeah,
is the most boring one, bro. Like,
but in the new one, he's a bit he's slightly cooler. Well, he's still massive dark, but also maybe Donatello. Donatello's great as well in the new one.
what are character
Oh,
arcs? All right, so I have to talk about this. Spoiler alert, guys. If you want anything about Last Ronin spoiled for you, get off of this episode, okay? Like, spoiler alert. Three, two, one. Okay. So we all know. Do you want me to tell you who the Last Ronin is? You know who it is, right?
I don't know who it is.
Do you want to know?
No, I don't. I'll take my headphones
Okay.
off. I'll take my
No,
headphones
no, no,
off.
no, no, no. Then never mind, guys. Stay
Okay,
back on
okay.
this episode. After this, though, go on like search up, read Last Ronin online, issue number 1, readcomics.com. So you see, like, the link I'm talking about to read all the comics. Or I'll text it to you and just read that. Read that first issue. Read
Mhm.
that first issue, and then we can talk about it. But
Okay.
I
We should
want
maybe
to
do once I've read a bit of that. We should maybe do an episode about that.
I listen, bro. Like, I think The Last Ronin is the best limited series comic book run ever.
Hmm.
Ever, ever. Because um I think the way that they cleverly use dialogue, like, double meanings are huge in this story. So
Yeah.
when the last Ronin is saying see you on the other side, you might think, oh, like he means the other side of the wall. And then when you read the story later on, it's like, oh my God, he was suicidal. Like, see you on the other side. Like, you
Oh
see,
shit.
so there's a lot of like double meaning and very smart use of dialogue and foreshadowing in the story that has nothing to do with nerdy knowledge of the Ninja Turtles universe. From that craft of storytelling alone, it's just objectively one of the best comic book runs ever.
Hmm.
Just from that angle. Then the character arcs, absolutely incredible, bro. Absolutely incredible. Like, when I found out who the last Ronin is, I was crying because I'm like, bro, there's no way there's no way. It's like somebody was like, you know what, that would be cool. All right, we're gonna do it. Troop gonna be troop. Yeah, I know, we're gonna do it. And then the deaths of, because this isn't a spoiler, like 3 of the turtles are dead, that, blah blah blah. Those death scenes, oh my God, they're very brutal. They're very brutal. They're very not alien like in terms of a beast is ripping you apart, but alien like in terms of like the death is horrifying. You're wishing it's not going to happen, but it still happens.
Yeah.
And just the horrifying brutality of seeing 3 of the 4 Ninja Turtles die brutally right before your eyes. Like, if it does something to you as a reader, then you realize that is the impact that they wanted you to have, so you understand the last Ronin.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, I just can't. The action of the last Ronin is incredible. Like, I can't get enough. And I'm not gonna front here and say I'm like this massive diehard Ninja Turtles fan. Like, I am not, but I am a diehard fan of the last Ronin story. Simply
Yeah.
because I'm just a huge fan of just taking a kid product like the Ninja Turtles, even though it didn't originally start out like that, but it kind of turned into that. But to bring it back to its 80s, 90s dark roots and to just tell a compelling story on its own without, again, needing to know the backstory of the Ninja Turtles, but it's just a heartfelt story on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible. And now I will say part one, I was like, that's it. Like issues 1 to 5 is part one. So at first I was like, well, that's it. Like it's kind of straightforward. But again, part one sets the stage for part two, which is
Yeah.
the new generation. And then when I look at that, it truly does feel like the Star Wars saga. You have your prequel era of darkness, it ends in darkness, whatever. And then you have the new generation, Luke, Han, Leia, the OG.
Yeah.
These new Ninja Turtles really give that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can't say enough, man.
I
We need to
think
talk about Ninja Turtles more.
we need a full episode. Yeah,
Yeah, we
I
do
love
need an
Ninja
episode.
Turtles.
Yeah, we
What
need
what
that.
what what would be cool is maybe like a Last Ronin film in like or a series, maybe like in the style of the new movie, but like black and white or something.
Mm.
I think that would be pretty cool to see. I doubt they'd do that because it's not that might not be marked. That might not make a lot of money, but I think it'd be a
Does
very cool project.
does Amazon Prime still own the rights to Ninja Turtles? Like, do they share that with Nickelodeon? Because if they
Um,
do, you could get the guys who made Invincible.
I think. Oh, that'll be good. But I think they're all on Paramount Plus now because
Okay.
I think Nickelodeon have got something with Paramount.
Okay.
Um, I'll have a Google
Paramount
now.
has shown they have shown a desire to get into more adult spaces, like with iCarly,
Yes.
the you know being a pretty adult show now.
By
Um,
the way, Paramount Plus is a very, very good streaming service.
is it better than Disney Plus right now? Because outside of Star Wars Visions, I don't watch anything on Disney Plus.
Not at the moment, I'd say. I like it because it has all the Mission Impossible films on there.
Mm,
And it has iCarly, and iCarly was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
yeah, I love iCarly.
Um,
What
so
if they have you
Rise
ever seen?
of the Ninja Turtles is that
Okay.
is on Paramount. Um, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fast Forward is that on? It doesn't say if that's on there.
Have you ever seen Samurai Jack, like the rated M Samurai Jack? It was on Toonami Plus or whatever. So it
No,
was pretty much Samurai Jack. I don't know if you saw, like, did you watch Samurai Jack growing up? It was on
I don't think
Boomerang.
we had that over it.
Okay, well, if you search it, pretty much it was like a samurai. He's transported like 5,000 years into the far future because he was gonna kill like this evil spirit back in ancient Japan. So they jump to the far future where aliens and stuff are on Earth. So Samurai Jack gets like a cybernetic sword or whatever, and he's still fighting the demon in space. It's a fantastic. I love it, but it was a very kiddie show, and
Mhm.
then like 10 years ago or whatever they did like Samurai Jack rated R. So it showed the same character, same world, but it had like invincible animation. So people's heads were
Oh, that's
getting shot
cool.
off, people were getting killed, like blood was flying everywhere. So imagine if they had like that intense animated sequence, like black and white, like you said. But the only color that shows is red.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I'd like
You
that.
know, that'd be
Um,
that'd be so cool.
I am for the first time since I was a kid. I am excited for more Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the potential for it now with people taking animation more seriously after Spider Verse.
Mm,
It's there, and they are already planning for more films. You
I,
can kind of tell with. I won't give any spoilers, but a certain someone might show up mid credits.
Shredder.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Shredder. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah. We
thought
all know it's Shredder.
if he's not the villain in this one, he's got to be in the post credits, isn't he?
Yeah, no, it's Shredder, bro. Like, I hope, like, and I'm gonna watch it, but I hope they just do something different with Shredder. Like, ironically, I really loved what they did with Shredder in like the bland last two Nickelodeon live action movies. They made him cool. I won't lie.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he was like, I am Shredder, shing, 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 and he's like throwing all of the stuff at Splinter, and yeah, it was cool, man. The final thing before we get off on today's episode, because we got like 5 minutes left here.
Yeah.
Um, if you had to kind of rank, because we're just talking about Ninja Turtles, so let's just kind of cap it
Yeah,
off.
we've this yeah, we've gone like the point
Completely
I
different.
was starting to make was more
Yeah.
animated films at the box office. I made that point. We talk about Ninja Turtles.
No. What are character arcs you would love to see the Ninja Turtles go on? So, like, for example,
Ooh.
Leo is boring to me, so I honestly don't know a direction they could take Leo. But Wrath, I would
Well,
love to see Wrath become like a like a peaceful religious figure almost.
yeah, I
Like
think I think if you're something that's comedic but could also be done in a serious way, Raph going to like anger management classes or something.
yeah, yeah.
Like that would be
Raph
cool.
being a therapist, that'd be cool to me. Uh
For
Donnie,
Leo, like you said, it's difficult, but I think just make him lose something.
maybe make Leo like kind of like Raph in a way.
Yeah.
And Raph is like, bro, I used to be there. Like, you don't
Mm.
have to be so angry. Yeah, maybe. I would Donnie, I don't know. Donnie, I love Donnie, but he's just kind of there. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like he's I want more Donnie content, you know. I don't want to hate on Donnie.
He's cool.
Um,
He's cool in the new one. Each of them in the new film have sort of a very important part to play in taking down the bad guy. They each use like their sort of they play each one of their strengths as a moment to shine and stuff like that. It's very cool.
okay. And then with Mikey, I mean, he's my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, he's
Mikey
the
has always
best,
been my
isn't he?
favorite. Mikey, I just love how Mikey has the potential to be the best Ninja Turtle out of all of his brothers.
Yeah.
Um, like he just has that natural potential. He just could care less. But like, and I don't know, I just love that attitude. But um, I don't know. All I know is if Gavin tried to make the Ninja Turtles, they'd all be racist. But you know, it is what it is. But I don't know. I just had to throw in a sneak in there because I don't like them, man. I just don't like pretentious filmmakers who just thrive off of negativity. And
Mhm.
I get, you know, maybe I'm doing that here, thriving off of negativity. But bro, he never forget, he all of his stuff got thrown away. Lotus got canceled because he pissed off a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Berkman Boom. Real ones know Berkman Boom. You know, he's the one who exposed Gavin. But with that, this has
Um,
been
before we end, let's read one more Spider-Man Lotus review to end on a high.
all right.
Spider-Man Lotus was horrible. What the fuck did I just watch? Did not feel like Spider-Man at all, even though it's a fan-made film. Should have been better. Bad acting, too many close-ups. Shocker. Green Goblin suits was terrible. Half a star.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's trash.
This has been a good episode. This has been really fun.
Yeah, man. But you know what? Listen, like with fan films, like it's easy to rip on them, especially when they
Mm.
are, you know, subpar in quality. I won't lie though. I was working on a fan film for a very long time of my own project. And ended up, you know, getting shut down because it's not my property, it's Marvel's. But obviously working on a Spider-Man fan film as well. Uh but a bit different type of project. I don't know if you guys want to hear that story. I know Ollie's been wanting to hear that story, but
Yes.
if you guys want to hear the, you know, what could have been and what potentially still can happen with that Spider-Man fan film,
Hmm.
you might want to tune in next week.
Yeah. I'll be asking some questions.
Let's do it, bro. All right.